Welcome, collectors. Today, we're uncovering the truth behind some of the most mysterious and sought-after coins in existence, pieces shrouded in legend and coveted for their incredible stories and staggering values. What makes these rare issues so special, and why do they command such astronomical prices in the marketplace? Let's examine the facts behind these numismatic treasures. First coin. The 1776 1976 Franklin half-dollar stands as a monumental piece in American numismatics, not for its existence as a single coin, but for its representation within a unique and highly specialized collecting niche. While a standard Franklin half-dollar was never officially minted with a 1776 1976 dual date, the immense popularity of the bicentennial coinage led to the creation of custom-made pieces. These are typically genuine coins that have been altered, often by enterprising individuals, to feature the iconic 1776 1976 bicentennial date alongside the Franklin design. This fusion of a classic series with the patriotic fervor of the nation's 200th anniversary creates a captivating, albeit non-official artifact that commands significant attention and a substantial market value, particularly when certified and confirmed to be struck on a genuine silver planchet. The historical context of this piece is a fascinating tale of collector-driven demand intersecting with a national celebration. The official United States bicentennial coinage, minted from 1975 to 1976, featured the quarter, half-dollar, and dollar denominations with special reverse designs by Jack L. R., Seth G. Huntington, and Dennis R. Williams, respectively. The Franklin half-dollar series, however, had concluded in 1963, replaced by the Kennedy half-dollar. The concept of a 1776 1976 Franklin is therefore an anachronism, a what-if piece that bridges two distinct eras of American coinage. It symbolizes the enduring legacy of Benjamin Franklin, a founding father, during the anniversary he helped to forge, making it a powerful, if unconventional, commemorative item that exists outside the official mint canon. What makes these coins so visually arresting is the marriage of John R. Sinnock's classic Franklin design with the bicentennial date. The obverse retains the dignified, right-facing portrait of Benjamin Franklin, accompanied by the inscriptions Liberty and In God We Trust. The reverse continues to feature the iconic Liberty Bell with a small eagle to its right, a design element added by mint engraver John R. Sinnock to comply with a law requiring the representation of an eagle on the half-dollar. The critical alteration is the date, which is meticulously added to read 1776 1976 in the style of the official bicentennial issues. When such an alteration is skillfully executed on a proof coin, the contrast between the deeply mirrored fields and the frosty devices, all bearing the dual date, creates a stunning and unique aesthetic that is both familiar and novel. The rarity of a genuine 1776 1976 Franklin half-dollar is absolute, as none were officially produced by the United States Mint. Consequently, the market is populated by altered pieces, and their rarity is defined by the quality and authenticity of the modification and the base coin used. Examples struck on genuine 90% silver planchets from the original Franklin series, 1948 1963, are the most desirable. The condition is paramount. A specimen that began as a pristine, gem-brilliant uncirculated or proof coin from the original series, and was then expertly altered, will be exponentially more valuable than one created from a worn, circulated piece. The scarcity of high-grade original coins further limits the potential supply of high-quality altered versions, concentrating demand on the finest examples. The market value for these intriguing pieces is entirely collector-driven and can be surprisingly robust, reflecting their novelty and the quality of the workmanship. For a specimen that originated as a common-date proof Franklin half-dollar and was subsequently altered with a high-quality 1776-1976 date. Values can comfortably reside in the range of $1,500 to $3,000, assuming it is encapsulated by a major grading service like PCGS or NGC, often with a special designation acknowledging the alteration. Prices are not derived from a standard price guide, but are negotiated between buyers and sellers who appreciate the coin's unique story and visual appeal, with auction results being the primary benchmark for establishing fair market value. For collectors pursuing one of these unique coins, due diligence is the highest priority. The paramount rule is to only consider examples that have been certified and encapsulated by a top-tier grading service such as PCGS or NGC. This certification authenticates the base coin as a genuine Franklin half-dollar and often describes the nature of the added bicentennial date, providing crucial assurance to the buyer. Acquiring such a piece from a raw, ungraded state is exceedingly risky. The most desirable acquisitions are those built on the finest available base coins. A 1776-1976 alteration of a rare, high-grade Franklin, such as a 1949S or a 1953S, could see its value escalate dramatically, potentially reaching $5,000 or more, as it combines the novelty of the date with the underlying rarity of the host coin. In the broader landscape of numismatics, the 1776-1976 Franklin half-dollar occupies a unique and compelling space. It is a piece that celebrates American history in a way its original designers never envisioned, embodying the creative and passionate spirit of the collecting community itself. It appeals not just to specialists of the Franklin series or bicentennial collectors, but to any enthusiast captivated by unusual and conversation-starting items. Its value is a direct reflection of its artistic merger of two iconic American symbols, Benjamin Franklin and the bicentennial, into a single, tangible piece of metal. Ultimately, the appeal of this coin lies in its powerful narrative and its striking departure from the ordinary. It represents a fascinating chapter that never was in the official annals of the U.S. Mint, yet it has carved out a very real and valuable niche for itself. For the advanced collector, it offers a chance to own a piece that is genuinely distinctive, a hybrid artifact whose worth is underpinned by the quality of its execution and the enduring popularity of both the Franklin series and the bicentennial celebration. As a centerpiece of a specialized collection, it serves as a testament to the evolving and imaginative nature of the hobby itself. Coin number 2. Of all the coins in the Franklin series, one date stands apart not for its pristine beauty, but for its profound and absolute absence. The coin you're thinking of, the 1984 Franklin half-dollar, is a phantom in the numismatic world. It's a coin that was never struck, never released, and never existed in any official capacity from the United States Mint. This non-existent coin captures the imagination of collectors precisely because it represents a what-if scenario, a gap in the timeline that fuels both curiosity and, unfortunately, the creation of sophisticated counterfeits aimed at deceiving hopeful collectors. The very idea of a 1984 dated Franklin half-dollar is a powerful lure, making it one of the most talked-about non-issues in all of 20th century American coinage. To understand why there is no 1984 Franklin half-dollar, we must look at the history of the series itself. The Franklin half-dollar was minted from 1948 through 1963, featuring the portrait of the renowned statesman and inventor Benjamin Franklin. The series was brought to an abrupt end following the assassination of President John F. Kennedy in November of 1963. The nation was plunged into mourning, and there was an immediate and powerful public and governmental push to honor the fallen president on the nation's coinage. The half-dollar denomination was chosen, and within months, the Kennedy half-dollar was designed and rushed into production, replacing the Franklin design entirely. Therefore, the minting of Franklin have ceased permanently in 1963, making any coin dated after that year, especially one 2 decades later like 1984, an impossibility. The design that never was for a 1984 issue would have, of course, mirrored the classic elements established by chief engraver John R. Sinek. The obverse features a right-facing portrait of Franklin with the word Liberty above and the motto In God We Trust below his portrait. The reverse is dominated by the storied Liberty Bell, with a small eagle to its right, a design requirement for the $50 that was added by Sinek. The mint mark, if such a coin were real, would be found above the bell on the reverse. For a Philadelphia mint coin, designated by the P in your query, there would be no mint mark present. The design is quintessential mid-century American classicism, a sharp contrast to the more modern renditions that would follow in subsequent series. The rarity of a so-called 1984 P. Franklin $50 is absolute. Its mintage is zero. This is the core factor that defines its entire narrative in the collecting world. No genuine examples exist in any condition, not in uncirculated, not in proof, and certainly not in a very dirty state as mentioned. Any coin presented as such is, by definition, a counterfeit or fantasy piece. These fakes can range from crude alterations of other dates to shockingly well-made fabrications, often using advanced technology to create convincing dies and strike coins on genuine silver planchets. The danger for collectors lies in these high-quality fakes, which are designed to exploit the widespread knowledge that such a coin would be incredibly valuable if real. The demand for this non-coin is entirely theoretical, yet it creates a very real and dangerous market for forgeries. Newer collectors, upon learning that the series ended in 1963, might stumble across a seemingly old silver $50 with a 1984 date and believe they have found the ultimate numismatic treasure. This hope is what counterfeiters prey upon. In the broader context of the Franklin series, the 1984 P is the ultimate key date precisely because it doesn't exist. It stands as a cautionary tale and a piece of numismatic trivia, highlighting the importance of knowing a series' beginning and end dates. Its appeal is not in owning it, but in understanding the historical circumstances that prevent it from ever being owned. Given that no genuine specimens are available for public sale, assigning a market value is a complex and purely speculative exercise. However, the immense curiosity surrounding this date means that high-quality counterfeits can and do sell for significant sums to unsuspecting buyers. It is crucial to state unequivocally that any coin being offered as a genuine 1984 Franklin $50, whether priced at $2,000 or $6,000, is a fake. A genuine example would be priceless, likely commanding a value well into the high six figures or more at auction. But this is a hypothetical scenario for an item that resides solely in the realm of fantasy. The only real monetary transactions occur when people are defrauded into purchasing these elaborate fakes. For any collector, the most critical tip regarding the 1984 Franklin $50 is to cultivate a healthy and absolute skepticism. You must internalize the fact that this coin does not exist. If you encounter one, your first and only thought should be that it is a counterfeit. Focus your collecting efforts on the actual, documented dates and mint marks within the 1940-81963 range. When pursuing any valuable coin, especially key dates like the 1949S or 1955 Bugs Bunny variety, always insist on examples that have been independently certified and encapsulated by major grading services like PCGS or NGC. These companies have the expertise to authenticate coins and identify forgeries, providing an essential layer of protection for your investment. Do not waste time searching through junk silver bins for a 1984 Franklin. You will only find clever fakes designed to separate you from your money. In conclusion, the 1984 P. Franklin $50 is a numismatic legend, but one built entirely on its own impossibility. Its significance lies not in its metal or its design, but in the powerful story it tells about the end of one era and the sudden, tragic beginning of another with the Kennedy half-dollar. It serves as a permanent reminder of how historical events can directly shape the coins in our pockets and our collections. For seasoned collectors, it's a well-known piece of trivia, but for newcomers, it represents a potential pitfall. Understanding why this coin cannot exist is a rite of passage in American numismatics, a lesson in both history and the critical importance of verification, in a hobby where reality is often stranger than fiction. Now, while the 1984 Franklin is a fascinating story of a coin that never was, our next video delves into a coin that is very real, and its story is even more incredible. We're going to examine a classic key date that every collector dreams of finding, a coin that was genuinely minted in tiny numbers and survived against all odds. I'm talking about the legendary 1914 D. Lincoln cent, a coin with a mintage so low and a demand so high that it defines the entire wheat penny series. You won't want to miss the surprising details behind this authentic American numismatic treasure. Coin number 3. Today we're discussing one of the great paradoxes of American numismatics, the 1988 Franklin half-dollar. To the novice, finding one would be the discovery of a lifetime, but to the seasoned collector, it's a known phantom. This coin is a powerful piece of numismatic fiction, a date that never was. Yet its very concept makes it a fascinating subject. The allure lies in the what-if, a tantalizing gap in the series that sparks the imagination, and unfortunately, has led to the creation of countless counterfeits aimed at capitalizing on that very curiosity. It represents a key date that can never be filled, making any example you might encounter a certain fake, and a story of a series that ended decades before this date could ever have been struck. The historical context for the non-existence of the 1988 Franklin half-dollar is rooted in a national tragedy. The Franklin half-dollar series had a relatively short run, being minted from 1948 through 1963. The assassination of President John F. Kennedy in Dallas on November 22, 1963, irrevocably altered the course of American coinage. In a wave of national mourning and a desire to create a lasting tribute, the Treasury Department swiftly decided to replace the Franklin design with a new half-dollar honoring the fallen president. The Kennedy half-dollar was designed and rushed into production within months, with the first coins struck in early 1964. This decisive action permanently concluded the Franklin series, rendering any coin dated 1964 or later, especially one as late as 1988, an absolute impossibility from the United States Mint. The design of this mythical 1988 coin would, by necessity, have had to replicate the work of chief engraver John R. Sinek. The obverse would feature the dignified, right-facing portrait of Benjamin Franklin, with the word Liberty arching above and the motto In God We Trust below his bust. The reverse would continue to showcase the detailed rendering of the Liberty Bell, with the small eagle to its right, a feature added to satisfy the legal requirement for an eagle on the half-dollar. For a Philadelphia Mint issue, the coin would bear no mint mark. A coin described as being in very dirty condition would show heavy carbon spotting, discoloration, and a complete absence of luster, obscuring these classic design elements. But such a description is purely academic for an item that does not exist. The rarity of a genuine 1988 P. Franklin half-dollar is not measured in low mintage, but in a complete absence of mintage. 0 genuine specimens were ever produced. This is the foundational fact that every collector must understand. There are no uncirculated rolls tucked away in a vault, no proof specimens in original packaging, and certainly no worn, dirty examples circulating in the wild. Any piece presented as such is a fabrication. These counterfeits range from poorly altered coins from the 1950s to deceptively high-quality strikes made from custom dies. The very dirty condition is often artificially applied to older-looking fakes to lend them an air of authenticity and to hide the telltale signs of the counterfeiting process. Collector demand for the 1988 Franklin is a phenomenon driven by misconception and the allure of the impossible find. It stands out in the Franklin series not as a rarity, but as a ghost, a date that collectors know to be the ultimate red flag. Its demand manifests as a constant stream of inquiries to coin dealers and grading services from hopeful individuals who believe they have stumbled upon a monumental discovery. This creates a perverse market where only fakes are bought and sold, often for significant sums from those unaware of the series' history. It is a coin that is highly sought after precisely because it cannot be sought after, a numismatic paradox that underscores the importance of knowledge in this hobby. Assigning a market value to a non-existent coin is an exercise in understanding the cost of deception. A genuine 1988 Franklin half-dollar would be the sole example of its kind and would be virtually priceless, likely realizing a price of $7,000 or more at a major auction. However, since no genuine examples exist, this figure is purely theoretical. The real-world financial activity involves the sale of counterfeits. These fakes can be sold for anywhere from a few $100s to unsuspecting beginners, up to several $1,000s for particularly convincing forgeries that manage to deceive even experienced collectors. A price tag of $8,500 on a dirty 1988 Franklin isn't a bargain. It's the cost of a lesson in numismatic history. For any collector, the most vital advice regarding the 1988 Franklin is to simply remember that it is a myth. Your collecting strategy should involve a firm understanding that the series begins in 1948 and ends conclusively in 1963. If you encounter a 1988 dated half-dollar, do not entertain thoughts of its value. Instead, recognize it immediately as a counterfeit. Focus your efforts and resources on acquiring certified examples of the actual key and semi-key dates within the legitimate series, such as the 1949S, 1953S, or the 1955 Bugs Bunny variety. Always purchase such coins graded and encapsulated by reputable services like PCGS or NGC to guarantee authenticity. Scouring old coin rolls or junk silver bins will never yield a real 1988 Franklin, only clever fakes designed to exploit a well-known numismatic hole. In summary, the 1988 P. Franklin half-dollar holds a unique and critical place in numismatics as a famous non-coin. Its importance is not as a collectible item, but as a permanent testament to the definitive end of the Franklin series and the sudden dawn of the Kennedy era. It serves as an essential piece of numismatic literacy, a coin that every collector must learn does not exist to safely navigate the hobby. Its appeal is not in ownership, but in the understanding it represents, a blend of historical knowledge and cautious collecting that protects one from the pitfalls of fantasy and fraud. While the 1988 Franklin is a story about a coin that wasn't, our next exploration takes us to a coin that is very real and whose story is etched in silver. We will be examining a classic 20th century issue that is both beautiful and historically significant, a coin that marks a pivotal transition in American design and metal composition. I'm talking about the 1942 Walking Liberty half-dollar, a key date that straddles the line between pre-war and wartime silver and boasts one of the most beautiful designs ever to grace U.S. currency. The details of its mintage and value are not to be missed. Coin number 4. In the vast and often surprising world of coin collecting, few topics generate as much confused excitement as the mythical 1995 Franklin half-dollar. This is a coin that, on paper, seems like it should be the ultimate numismatic treasure, a silver relic minted decades after its series was supposed to have ended. That very contradiction is the source of its notoriety. For a newcomer, the prospect of finding one is the stuff of dreams, but for an experienced numismatist, it's a well-known impossibility, a phantom date that serves as a litmus test for a collector's fundamental knowledge. Its collectability is purely academic, rooted in understanding why it cannot exist, a concept that unfortunately fuels a thriving market for sophisticated and deceptive counterfeits. The historical reality that prevents the 1995 Franklin half-dollar from existing is clear and definitive. The Franklin half-dollar series had a distinct lifespan, running from 1948 through 1963. Its end was not gradual, but was abruptly triggered by a seminal event in American history: the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. In the wake of that national tragedy, there was an immediate and powerful movement to memorialize the president on the nation's coinage. The half-dollar denomination was chosen, and within a matter of months, the Kennedy half-dollar was designed and approved, completely replacing the Franklin design with coins dated 1964, even though many were struck in 1965. This decisive act closed the book on the Franklin series permanently, making any coin dated 1995 a historical and logistical impossibility from the U.S. Mint. Were such a coin to have been minted, its design would be mandated to follow the original models created by chief engraver John R. Sinek. The obverse would display the distinctive right-facing portrait of Benjamin Franklin, with the word "Liberty" above and the national motto "In God We Trust" below. The reverse would feature the detailed depiction of the Liberty Bell in Philadelphia, with the requisite small eagle standing to its right. A Philadelphia Mint coin, indicated by the absence of a mint mark, would lack any P designation. The description of it being in very dirty condition suggests a coin heavily affected by environmental damage, with dark tunning, surface contaminants, and perhaps corrosion, completely obscuring the original silver surface and any subtle details of the strike, a state that could only be applied to a counterfeit. The concept of rarity for the 1995 P. Franklin half-dollar is absolute. Its mintage is zero. No genuine examples were struck for circulation, no proof specimens were made for collectors, and no trial pieces or patterns are known to exist. This is not a coin of which a few are known. It is a coin of which none are known. Any piece offered for sale is, by definition, a fake. These forgeries are the only examples that can be found, and they exist in a spectrum of quality. Some are crude alterations of genuine Franklin halves from the 1950s, with the date clumsily changed, while others are sophisticated struck counterfeits that can be incredibly convincing, especially when artificially distressed to appear very dirty, and thus hide minor imperfections in the die work. The demand for this non-coin is a fascinating study in numismatic psychology. It doesn't come from established collectors building a set, but from the perpetual hope of newcomers and the opportunistic deceit of forgers. It stands out in the Franklin series not as a valuable key date, but as the ultimate trap for the uninformed. This demand creates a black market for fakes, with prices that reflect not the coin's value, but the perceived gullibility of the buyer. A counterfeit 1995 Franklin isn't valued for its metal or artistry, but for its success as a fraudulent object. It's a coin that is sought after only by those who do not yet understand that the most important part of collecting is knowing what cannot be collected. Assigning a concrete market value to a genuine 1995 Franklin half-dollar is impossible, as one has never been offered for sale. If a single, unimpeachably genuine example were to surface, its value would be stratospheric, easily commanding a price of $850,000 or more due to its status as a unique and impossible item. However, this is pure fantasy. The real-world prices we see, which can range from $1,200 for a crude fake to over $5,000 for a high-quality counterfeit, represent the cost of fraud, not the value of a numismatic item. These transactions are tragedies, not triumphs, where buyers part with significant sums for a piece of metal that has no collectible value beyond its base silver content as a counterfeit. The most critical collecting tip for the 1995 Franklin is the simplest. Know that it does not exist. Arm yourself with the fundamental knowledge that the Franklin half-dollar series begins in 1948 and concludes, irrevocably, in 1963. Any date outside this range is a guaranteed fake. Your efforts should be directed toward acquiring certified examples of the legitimate, though challenging, issues within the series from reputable dealers or major auction houses. Focus on the actual condition census coins for dates like the 1949S or 1953S, and always insist on third-party grading from PCGS or NGC to ensure authenticity. The very dirty 1995 Franklin you might find in an old box or online listing is not a project coin. It is a story designed to separate you from your money. Ultimately, the 1995 P. Franklin half-dollar is one of the most important coins a collector can learn about, precisely because learning about it means understanding its non-existence. Its significance is not metallic, but educational. It serves as a permanent monument to the definitive end of a classic coin series and a crucial cautionary tale about the necessity of historical knowledge in numismatics. Its appeal lies not in the thrill of the hunt, but in the wisdom of knowing where not to hunt, protecting both your collection and your passion from the pervasive threat of sophisticated forgeries. This journey into the realm of the non-coin highlights the importance of verifiable history, which leads us perfectly into our next topic. We will be shifting from a coin that wasn't to one of the most storied and authentic rarities in all of American numismatics. We will be examining a coin with a mintage so low and a history so rich that it defines the term key date. I'm talking about the legendary 1916 D Mercury dime, a coin that tests the mettle of every advanced collector. The story of its elusive survival and monumental value is one you won't want to miss.